Hello everyone, welcome to our vlog. Welcome to Agent Lenny vlog. Before we will start to our topic today, I'm inviting you to like this page, Wonderflight Travel Agency, and if you want to book your flight, you can message on that page. We offer to go on tour packages. Hello everyone, so let's tackle today the travel requirements. Wag na po tayo magbaligoy-ligoy. Alam kong hinihintay nyo na po kung ano po yung mga travel update and requirements ngayon sa mga pupuntahan nyong lugar. So first, let's go to Antique. Okay. The travel requirements in Antique starting March 1 to 15. Alert level 2 po sila. Okay, for leisure travel, kailangan nyo po ng booking confirmation issued by the DOT, accredited hotel, valid ID, vaccination card, vaccination certificate, or valid medical certificate, and approved S-Pass. And dun naman po sa mga returning residents, kailangan nyo po ng mga notice of coordination or acceptance, negative RT-PCR test result conducted not earlier than 3 days before travel. This is for unvaccinated only. Kung kayo ay vaccinated, just present your vaccination card or vaccination certificate and approve S-Pass. And now let's go to Bacolod. Okay, March 1 to March 15, alert level 1 po sila, Negros Occidental. Your requirements only for fully vaccinated, just valid ID, approved S-Pass, and valid vaccination card or certificate. Then, kung hindi naman po kayo vaccinated, allowed naman kayo mag-travel, just present your valid ID, approved S-Pass, negative antigen test result, for 48 hours prior departure or arrival. Note that the passenger the option to undergo rapid antigen upon arrival. So, kailangan mag-antigen po kayo. Then, may exemption po dun sa mga government official, valid ID issued by the respective government agencies, present original or certified true copy. Yun po yung mga requirements. Pass the symptom screening and strictly comply the minimum public health standard. For Bacolod City naman, if you are fully vaccinated, just present your valid ID, approve S-Pass, and the backtrack. Then for partially naman valid ID, approve S-Pass, online backtrack, and negative rapid antigen 48 hours. And now let's go to Basco. For inbound or returning patient or residents, LSI appers, ito po yung mga requirements going to Basco. Letter of acceptance certification. Okay. Certificate of acceptance is required upon booking a flight. To apply for a COA, the following information must be submitted to the official page. Okay. Kailangan nyo pong i-submit ito doon sa Basco Travel Acceptance para magkaroon kayo ng acceptance letter. Your hometown, complete name, purpose of travel to Basco, intended airlines, name of hotel, quarantine, if none we will assign in a government facility, work, age, birthday, and gender, contact information, address in Batanes, address in the point of origin, vaccination card, line of work, and approve S-Pass. Ayan, humigpit yung Batanes. Ang dami na nilang requirements ngayon. So, let's go to Busuanga. For Busuanga, allowed naman na po ang tourist dun po sa Coron. Meron pala akong na-book na going sila to Coron. Ayun, nakapag-travel naman sila. Tourist po sila. So, who are allowed? Of course, all fully vaccinated. Allowed naman po yung mga requirements nyo is valid ID, approved S-Pass, vaccination card, negative antigen, and confirm hotel tour. Kailangan may tour package kayo or diving itinerary and round trip ticket. Ang hirap po talaga magpa-approve ng S-Pass going to Coron kasi atinry nila una, akala nila kaya ng passenger ko, pero no, yun nga, hindi siya na-approve, cancel ng cancel. Yun, pinasa na nila sa amin since hindi lang kami nagbo-book, nagpo-process din kami ng S-Pass, pero may payment po yun para sa team effort. Then, for inbound passenger na returning residents naman kayo to Coron, approve S-Pass and vaccination card. Then, negative antigen test result 48 hours and certificate of coordination from EOC Coron. For inbound passenger, tourists, returning residents, and ROF within Palawan, except Calamianes, okay, regardless of vaccination, kahit vaccinated or not kayo, kailangan nyo ng negative antigen 24 hours. Then, all unvaccinated adults minor will be required to submit themselves to the 7 days quarantine and will be required to undergo also the antigen on the day 7. Free of charge lang po yun. Then, for tourists, quarantine is not required. For unvaccinated minor, home quarantine will be required. So, let's go to Butuan. For Butuan, for fully vaccinated individual, just present your valid government ID, vaccination card, or certificate. Then, for unvaccinated, kailangan nyo po ng valid ID or rapid antigen 72 hours before departure from the point of origin. And Cagayan de Oro. Okay. For Cagayan de Oro, ganun pa rin, kailangan nila ng S-Pass and stay safe. Kung final destination nyo ay in the city, S-Pass, OPCOR, Higala app. Then, for OFW and non-OFW, valid ID with address in Cagayan de Oro and any proof of residency. And Calbayog, let's go to Calbayog. Requirements in Calbayog as of this March, for fully vaccinated, just valid ID and vaccination card. If you are not vaccinated, valid ID, RT-PCR test, certificate or letter of acceptance, and CR test result cannot be presented. Said, kung hindi kayo makakapag-present ng mga RT-PCR nyo, may 14 days quarantine kayo. Now, let's go to Camiguin. Camiguin requirements for fully vaccinated, valid ID, vaccination card, certificate from barangay, and acceptance from the municipal government for returning residents. If you are not vaccinated, you are still allowed, but present your valid ID, negative RT-PCR test taken within 24 hours, and certificate from barangay and acceptance from municipal government. And for tourists naman, valid ID. All tourists regardless of age must have clean Camiguin quick response QR code, confirm reservation with an accommodation establishment. And for tourists who will stay in the private home, must secure a clearance from the municipal government, negative antigen 72 hours. That is for tourists traveling from NCR and Luzon. Then for tourists traveling from Visayas and Mindanao, 48 hours po yung RT-PCR validity. And for full COVID vaccination, fully vaccinated tourists may bring their unvaccinated minor children below 12 years of age. Then, accompanying minor children who are 12 to 17 years old must have at least received their first COVID-19 vaccine dose. Let's go to Katarman. For inbound returning residents, valid ID and acceptance letter. Yun lang po yung requirements. Then, let's go to Cebu. In Cebu province, just fully vaccinated individuals present your valid ID and vaccination card. For unvaccinated, valid ID and medical certificate. For Cebu City, same, valid ID and vaccination card with QR code or vaccination certificate. If you are not vaccinated, ID, RT-PCR 72 hours or negative antigen 48 hours. For Lapu-Lapu naman, ID lang po. For Mandaue, valid ID and vaccination card. If you are not vaccinated, valid ID, RT-PCR 72 hours or antigen 48 hours. Okay, balikan natin itong Katiklan. Hindi tayo nakapunta dito. So, the requirements in Katiklan or Boracay, kailangan nyo po ng OHDC QR code. Very important po yun kung kayo ay tourist or kahit returning aklanan man po kayo. Then, of course, yung makakapunta lang po dun sa Boracay. If you are a tourist, just pakita nyo lang po yung proof of residence nyo dito sa Philippines, a copy of confirmed booking slip, from the DOT accredited Boracay Island, round-trip ticket, and vaccination status. Pwede nyo ipakita yung vaccination certificate nyo po as your proof of vaccination. And 12 years and below, kailangan mag-comply po kayo ng aklan.government.ph, accomplish the certificate of undertaking traveling with minors. So, yun po yung requirements. Clark. Requirements in Clark, Pampanga is passport or valid government ID and confirmed ticket lang po. Then, for Cotabato, ano na ba ngayon yung requirements? For the province of Maguindanao, kung fully vaccinated, just valid ID and vaccination card. If you are not vaccinated, valid ID and negative RT-PCR 72 hours. For Cotabato City, valid ID, CCTS QR code, valid vaccination card, and compliance with the triage procedure upon arrival at Cotabato Airport. If you are not vaccinated, valid ID, CCTS, RT-PCR 72 hours, and compliance with the triage procedure upon arrival. Let's go to Davao. Valid ID lang po sa Davao. And for Dipolog, okay, for fully vaccinated, valid ID, vaccination card, antigen, and approved S-Pass. For unvaccinated, valid ID, antigen, 5 days, and approved S-Pass. Dumaguete. For fully vaccinated, valid ID, vaccination card or certificate, and a photocopy of the requirements with the traveler's contact information number for contact tracing. If you are not vaccinated, valid ID, negative antigen, and a photocopy of both requirements with the traveler's contact information. For General Santos, okay, lahat ng inbound and outbound kailangan po mag-comply ng S-Pass and vaccination card pagpasok pa lang po sa airport kung outbound kayo. Kung hindi kayo vaccinated, kailangan may 48 hours kayo na RT-PCR. Then, for fully vaccinated na papunta naman ng Jensen, valid ID, S-Pass, vaccination card, and tapat QR code. For unvaccinated, valid ID, negative RT-PCR, 72 hours, S-Pass, and tapat QR code. For Iloilo, Iloilo City, if you are fully vaccinated, vaccination card or certificate, valid government ID. For partially vaccinated or unvaccinated, valid ID, negative RT-PCR, 72 hours. And then for province naman po, approved S-Pass, valid ID, notice of coordination, valid vaccination card or certificate, then the negative RT-PCR test result within 72 hours para po ito sa mga unvaccinated. If you are not residents in Iloilo, approved S-Pass, valid ID, valid vaccination card, and negative RT-PCR test result within 72 hours. Kung kayo naman po ay OFW, negative RT-PCR 72 hours, approved S-Pass, valid ID, and valid vaccination card. And then, let's go to Kalibo. Returning Aklanon, kailangan po ng OHDC confirmation, Philippine government-issued ID with Aklan address, travel details. Then, yung mga below 12 years old, mag-accomplish lang po kayo dito sa Certificate of Undertaking Traveling with Minors and Proof of Vaccination. Okay, for unvaccinated, kailangan nyo mag-RT-PCR test 72 hours validity. Okay, yun lang po. Then, requirements in Lawag. For returning residents, negative RT-PCR, 60 hours prior scheduled date of time of departure or negative antigen 24 hours and proof of residency. Kung tourist naman po kayo, present your negative RT-PCR 60 hours prior scheduled date and time of departure or negative antigen 24 hours. Then, tara na tourist pass, kailangan nyo po yun. Now we are here in Legazpi. Your requirements for fully vaccinated is valid ID, vaccination card. If you are not vaccinated, valid ID and negative antigen 48 hours. And now for Metro Manila, the requirements is all inbound and outbound passenger just present your vaccination card. Kailangan vaccinated kayo and present your valid ID. So, exempted po pag kayo ay may medical certificate dahil hindi kayo nakapagpa-vaccine dahil may mga sakit kayo, and kung kayo ay may barangay health pass. And now, let's go to SAMIS for fully vaccinated, valid ID and vaccination card. If you are not vaccinated, valid ID, negative antigen 72 hours, and yung mga minors who are bound to province of Misamis Occidental, hindi na po kailangan ng negative antigen. For Pagadian naman, regardless kahit vaccinated kayo or not, okay, nagbago din po yung sa Pagadian. Medyo nag-strict din po sila kasi regardless of vaccination status, inbound travelers are required to show the negative RT-PCR 3 days validity or negative antigen 48 hours. Then, the all non-uppers LSI RT-PCR test upon entry into the city. All arriving passenger who took the RT-PCR test upon arrival will not be required to undergo 14 days quarantine. Then the swabbing will be held at the Pagadian City Airport for travelers who enter the city irregularly, like those who work in regional offices at the regional center, travelers who deliver essential cargos, regular members of the police, and military and government workers shall not be required to take RT-PCR test. The negative RT-PCR test from the DOH po dapat and 5 days or less prior, and mag-comply po kayo ng S-Pass. Then for the Puerto Princesa naman, returning residents fully vaccinated, kailangan nyo ng proof of residency, airline ticket, approved S-Pass and vaccination card plus negative antigen. Then, magkakaroon pa po kayo ng mandatory home quarantine 7 days. For unvaccinated, proof of residence, valid ID card, and Puerto Princesa address, barangay or barangay certification, airline ticket, approved S-Pass, and negative RT-PCR test para sa unvaccinated. Pero kung kayo naman po ay tourist, meron kasi akong clients, gusto niya maging residence lang siya doon para hindi siya makakuha ng tour package. Kasi bago kayo makapunta dito sa Palawan, kailangan nyo ng tour package kung kayo ay hindi returning residents. Pero kung kayo ay returning residents at may ID, the disadvantage naman, hindi kayo makakakuha ng tour package, pero maka-quarantine naman kayo. So, for the province of Palawan, for fully vaccinated, valid ID, negative antigen 24 hours, approved S-Pass and vaccination card para po ito sa mga returning residents. And for unvaccinated, valid ID, RT-PCR 72 hours and approved S-Pass. Okay? For tourists naman, ito yung sinasabi ko na kailangan nyo po ng valid ID, vaccination card, approved S-Pass. Doon po sa approved S-Pass, nare-require po nila doon na kailangan meron kayong hotel bookings and tour packages. And unvaccinated and partially vaccinated individuals, valid ID, negative RT-PCR 72 hours and approved S-Pass. Going to Rojas, if you are fully vaccinated, in Rojas, just present your vaccination certificate. If you are partially or unvaccinated, negative RT-PCR test result within 72 hours. And now, let's go to Siargao. For the tourist or private upper, post-antigen test is required 5 days from the date of arrival. Passengers are passing through Siargao coming from the province of Dinagat Island are exempted from the presentation of negative result or on saliva and swab RT-PCR test. Then for Surigao del Norte residents, valid ID, S-Pass, vaccination card, and negative result of swab or saliva RT-PCR. released within 48 hours prior to arrival in the province. Then, for 17 years old and below are exempted. If you are not residents naman, vaccination card, vaccination certificate for fully vaccinated, negative result, swab or saliva, 48 hours validity, valid ID, confirm booking of not less than 2 nights from any DOT accredited accommodation, and the S-Pass. For the tourists invited by the local residents or Surigao del Norte, vaccination card, negative result or negative result on swab or saliva RT-PCR, valid 48 hours, valid ID, travel certification, and S-Pass. For not invited naman, vaccination card or negative result, swab or saliva RT-PCR, 48 hours para sa mga unvaccinated, valid ID, confirm booking not less than 2 nights, and S-Pass. Then, for the Tacloban requirements, valid ID and vaccination card or certificate. And now, for Tagbilaran, valid government ID and vaccination card. Then, if you are not vaccinated, valid ID, RT-PCR test 72 hours, and children age 11 years old, kailangan accompanied po ng fully vaccinated parents or guardian. And second to the last, for Tawi-Tawi, for fully vaccinated, just your vaccination card. For unvaccinated, negative RT-PCR result from the DOH prior to boarding at the point of origin, except for children below 12 years old. And the other consideration, inbound travelers with first dose only can enter the province. They shall undergo 10 days quarantine and must complete their second dose in Tawi-Tawi. And the travelers with falsified documents shall be dealt accordingly and will undergo 14 days quarantine. Everyone is advised to stay at home and observe health protocol. Then last, let's go to Zamboanga. For fully vaccinated travelers, valid government ID and vaccination card. If traveling from place with higher alert level status, the Zamboanga city or places with known variants of concern to be determined by the IATF, below requirements must be complied. Negative RT-PCR test, valid 5 days, or negative antigen 24 hours. Then for unvaccinated, just your valid government ID and negative RT-PCR test result, valid within 120 hours or 5 days prior departure. So, all traveling passengers are subject. Okay, take note that all traveling passengers are subject to random antigen test upon entry into the border. So, that's all for today. So, abangan nyo na lang po ang next update natin. Halos na sa alert level 1 na po ang lahat at maluwag na rin po. Napakasimple na lang po ng mga travel requirements. Check time to time kung magta-travel kayo. Yung link ay nasa baba lang po ng different airlines. Please click nyo na lang po yan dahil hindi ko po mapapromise na ma-update ko kayo time to time.
I'm inviting you guys to like this page, Wonderfly Travel Agency and Agent Lenny. Kung gusto nyo pong magpabook ng flight nyo, message nyo lang po yung Wonderfly Travel Agency. And then kung may question po kayo sa vlog na to, message nyo po yung Agent Lenny. If you want more travel update, please like this video and share para marami tayong matulungan. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you will be updated on my next video. Goodbye everyone. Thank you for watching.